Now, ladies and gentlemen, next up, Mr. Ivan Liu is the CEO and Executive Director of Shaw Investment APAC Private Limited. Now, he has experience. Hang on, sir. You have a very long profile that I have to read, Yeah. He has experiences operating and managing in the environmental, power and utilities, military and healthcare industry. He's part of the Rotary Club of Singapore, Worldwide Who's and Who, and of course, Singapore Think Tank, and of course, architect of life for Changi Prison and the extensive business experiences right here in Singapore. Now, overseas, China, and even in the ASEAN market. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor for today, please give it up for Mr. Ivan Liu. Wow. It's such a pleasure to have you, sir. I'm going to pass the stage over to you.
Thank you very much.
Please do.
I would like to say, what Andrew said was remind me of a song, I Did It My Way. I'm not going to sing it, but I think all the entrepreneurs today are doing it your way. Always remember that. So I'm not going to sing, but good morning, honorable guests, fellow judges, friends, and ladies and gentlemen. I saw a few familiar friends here. I'm actually quite honored to be invited, but I just think, what can I say to a bunch of people who are so smart, brave, and trending the market, creating the future? What can I tell them? So I thought a little bit of what I know, China. So Europe's decline came with the founding of the Americas. A new dawn is rising, and it's called China. It's not said by me. It's actually Theodore Roosevelt in 1907. He was referring to Japan at that point of time. But in my view, today is China. China, a country of more than 1.4 billion, 5 to 6% GDP growth every year. It's like growing a new country every year. You can imagine the growth rate. We have a bunch of people who are working very hard, much harder than all of us. They adopt technology like 3 to 5 years. US is about 30, 50, they're still using Amtrak. Singapore is about 10 to 15, and we are always a follower. So what I'm trying to say is, we need to know China very well. I've been in China since Y2K. For those who might not know what's Y2K, it's before 2000. And I've been there for last 20 over years doing business like infrastructures, banks, trading, you name it. We have 22 units overseas. But I would like to first touch on geopolitics. My first experience of geopolitics was in China in 2012. I was representing an Indian company doing the world's biggest environmental project. It's a $2.4 billion project. And China wanted to make friends with India. I think this was second strategic alliance. That project, the OEM equipment is $485 million. I have never come across a gearing or a government support from the Exim Bank as welcoming as what we got. So that's when the politics is good. Conversely, in 2017, when Singapore commented on the South China Sea issues, we have our armored tanks got held up in Hong Kong for whatever reasons. I wanted to start a company. The same document went into the Chinese embassy 3 times, rejected 3 times. I changed nothing. It's only on the 4th time then I got my company approved. That tells you a lot about country politics that you and I cannot change. But we need to know time and space, which will lead me to the next point. During that time, I was asked a question by the party secretary of a certain place. He asked, what I view. I said, 廖总, 您成为一个新加坡人, 您认为南海是谁的? So my answer was, 您都说了, 是南中国海, 不是北菲律宾海. So you need to be savvy when you answer questions like that. I didn't cite anyone. Time and place. Don't bring coal to Newcastle. or don't sell a Ferrari to a untracked for Africa, for example. Why do I say that? Smart city, what is smart city? Smart city must be smart lah. You need to have developed countries, developed cities. There are tier 1 to tier 4 cities. So you need to know which are your target market. Don't go to a tier 4 city to start because they probably don't have money or they're probably unable to accept that kind of technology for a start. You also need to understand the 5-year plan. Everybody say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. In a country, no matter what, they have plans like what they're going to do in the next 5 years. That's their blueprint. Follow that, learn about it. I read Xi Jinping's speech every year, and I compare his previous year's speech to allow me to understand what infrastructure should I follow or invest in. So that tells knowledge we need to know. Knowledge. How to protect our intellectual properties. I did a project in China, probably 2018, 2019. I tried to do in Singapore. It took 2.5 years. We can't even get 110 patients to clear the clinical trial. Then I went to China. 250 done in 3 weeks. That tells you the amount of people. So how do I protect my intellectual property? It's a smart structuring. You need to do smart structuring and various stages to keep yourself ahead. Another point I want to say is your best product, best technology is not the one that sells. It is marketing. Why I say that? Apple, I'm not an Apple user, sorry, I'm not selling Apple. They have the best software, but the worst hardware. They are always generation 2 behind everyone. Why? But they are smart, they control the software, and they are selling well. Many people like it. So for your product, there are also things called 规格标, 经济标, means which standard you want it to be a cheap standard that you can sell to the masses, or do you want a benchmark standard where everybody follow? That's what I did. I did a benchmark standard 4 years ago. IP pilferage is something that you cannot avoid. So the Americans stole from Germans during the war. The Japanese copied, the Taiwanese thereafter. There was a joke in the 80s when I was a young man. They said, oh, the American invented something. The Soviet Union learned about it in a week. The Japanese are producing it. Today, I think the Chinese are doing that too. So you must always plan multi-stages of your product. Think about it, it's called product development, isn't it? So it's a common phrase that we all use. And the worst part is the Chinese are very, very talented and very, very hardworking. How hardworking? I'll give you an example. A subway, I work very closely with the Chinese construction, probably China's biggest, probably the world biggest. I gave them a spec, a simple spec, 50 meters deep, 800 meters long under the city. How long do you take to build? He told me was 7 months if the land is good, 9 months if the land is no good. The Melbourne Metro takes 8 years. When we talk about it, it's 2017, and they say you complete in 2025. I don't think they are making it. They are saying they're going to extend. So that tells you how fast the Chinese work. So how do you prevent all these things? I'm a die-hard petrol head. Formula 1, they said, if you stop development, others will speed by you. That's how it was. Next, make friends. It's always important to make friends with your partner, your people that works with you. I had a good partner 10 years ago when I did the biggest project. I never paid a single cent of consultancy fee and so on. I'm always treated at the best because I was fair to my partner, and they're honorable partners. Of course, there are also bad partners that I met. People who wanted $10 million even before you start doing a project. Things like that will never change. Always remember that. Even cultures, you need to understand their cultures. And mind you, drinking is not a culture anymore. For the last 20 years, I had not drank a drop in China. I did business. You have to be smart. You have to be smart about it. I didn't drink a drop in my life. I will never do. And I do my business in China well. My record says it. Even you drink, when somebody tells you, you need to know their culture. Never hold your cup higher than your host. Where to sit, what to speak. And you must always know your position as Jia Fang or Yi Fang. The contract, the covenants. Covenants normally has a hierarchical change, differences. You need to know the process. Treat your own people well. Why I said that? Always remember, when you do a structuring, your OEM, you control your own company to prevent your IP from being lost. Remember, your people are the one who will leave you if you don't treat them well. So the Chinese will pay a lot of money just to get them out. They will do re-engineering, they work faster than you, they will IP it faster than you. I have VPs that follow me for 16 years and more than 2 companies. I think I did a good job. And some are still wanting to follow me today after my acquisition of another company. Now, all this you might not know. How do I find this information? You don't need to be like, when I was a boy, I have to write down what I don't know every week. I take the little booklet, I take a bus to the National Library and look for the books. And I find information that are 20 years old. That was in the 80s. Now, you have Google and Baidu. 你有一个哥哥叫谷歌，一个娘叫度娘跟百度 right? So you can do that. My last parting strategy to you will be 上有关系，下有政策，做事要有对策。It means you must have a relationship with the key people that you're working with that produce a policy down to the people that are working and in every situation you have a tactical plan. That's how to succeed in China. Lastly, problem solving. You guys had the brains. Just need to do it faster, on the fly. If you can't, think through, dry run in your mind before you head out. There's no straightforward one formula to success, I feel. I'm just sharing what I did, right? And I wish all of you the best in your endeavor, and do stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. You are super awesome, Mr. Ivan Liu. It's like you've just given us a Wikipedia of business experiences, So